Rain World. Beautifully crafted and incredible down to the very minuscule detail. This game pushes the limits of immersion like none other, and it deserves all the praise it gets. A hidden gem among a sea of others, but one very pretty regardless. It took 6 years to finally get it polished and released, but the wait was well worth it. Rain World is a survival platformer game with a fully functioning simulated ecosystem for you to explore and get lost in, where you control a little creature known as the slugcat. You are not at the bottom of the food chain in this apocalyptic wasteland, but the game does make it feel like such. These are my thoughts about Rain World. I hope you enjoy. Hey, do you want to suffer and bash your brains out all over your desk? Well, of course you do. You're watching this video. You know what's coming. You've seen the title. Rain World has a way of making the player feel very small and weak compared to the cruel creatures located in the vast world beyond. It will always keep you on edge, never trusting. In a world where bone-crushing rain pours down frequently, killing anything left out in the open, creatures have adapted to survive. Through the calmer times, they hunt and seek food, and through the rains, they hibernate. As such, the cycle continues, and life carries on. And the way the game lets this play out is unlike anything other ones do. Going into Rain World, players expect tough platforming, fun challenges, and a good use to put their wits to the test with skillful combat and maneuvering. This game, however, says fuck you, and throws all hope and soul you have out the window, and instead just hands you a half-explained movement system, cheap deaths, wacky screen transitions, and these funny little guys. The whole game is built on the fact that it is just straight up brutal and abusive, and I love it. I couldn't have asked for a better experience when I found myself struggling to escape things that wanted to rip my face clean off. The game feels alive in a sense. As opposed to other titles that usually consist of looping animations, predictable AI, and the likes, Rain World takes the whole step on immersion a few notches higher. Things in the game feel like they can think on their own, and it is so down on point. Everything is procedurally animated and simulated all at the same time, meaning you could walk into a room and already find two creatures going at each other. The game is not afraid to pull punches. It will make you feel one thing, that no matter where you are, your existence doesn't really matter. Life carries on around you, and it's up to you if you let yourself get caught in the crossfire. Things hunt you because they're hungry, not because it's a program, and it really makes them feel alive because of this. Feed a creature enough, it will befriend you. Annoy one enough, and it will leave you alone. The AI is phenomenal, and the music even more so. It really pushes the limits to how far it will make the player do certain actions and take choices on the situations happening around the slugcat. There is no real goal in this game. While it hints heavily at you finding your family during the intro cutscene, you quickly will learn that not everything revolves around you, and things will not play out in your way. Due to this, a lot of players will drop the game due to feeling like everything is just out of their control, and with the half-explained moveset, it can be really difficult to sometimes control the slugcat even. However, I think this is one of its strongest points, and why it was able to have built such a strong and caring community around it. The game is unique. There's nothing quite like it that does the same thing. With many games, you always have a basic idea on things you have to accomplish. Head over here, do this, kill that, eat those. Rain World, on the other hand, tells you pretty much nothing and leaves you in the place feeling exactly how the slugcat should be. Lost, alone, and scared of things in the wasteland beyond. What's that? A pole for you to climb? Sure, have fun with it, loser. And the way this repeats itself really makes the player feel on edge when they find new things, which keeps the experience fresh and alive. Death is really punishing, which further boosts the fear that you have with new things. It gives the slugcat's life value. But in the end, it just makes every small victory that much more significant. There are no power-ups in this game. There are no upgrades, no abilities that save over, and items will get lost when you throw them away at things. But there is always your knowledge that carries over. Whether it's learning that you can't eat something, or how other creatures react to your presence, the way you handle things will slowly get easier as you get more comfortable with the intricate movement system created for you to master. From doing backflips to wall jumping, fast pole climbing and sliding, mastering the moveset alone is enough to make you overcome any dangers you may come across. That's not to say it's without its difficulties, and most players will find a love-hate relationship with the system. But again, I think it's yet another one of its strong points, and it differentiates the new slugcat to the experienced one. It took me a good 5 hours and 4 attempts before I really started appreciating the beauty of this game. Though at times stressful, if you take the time to look at the scenery and the amazing ecosystem created, you really fall in love with it. There is no true progression in this game, and the goal is hindered through several clues and certain dialogues hidden through certain objects. Different areas require different skills to traverse, such as knowing how to use certain mechanics and moves. While in other games, new things are usually introduced in a controlled environment to make sure the player gets a grasp of things before jumping in blind. However, this game just throws it at you. Have fun with it, dumbass. Another mechanic introduced in the game is karma. Successfully sleeping through a cycle and surviving inside of your shelter should feel rewarding, and while at first the symbols you gain can be confusing for newer players, it quickly all makes sense once you reach your first gate. This as a mechanic is great, because it doesn't interrupt the normal flow of gameplay in many ways, and it's basically a way of the game asking you if you're ready to go to the next area, which can provide some harder challenges and fresh experiences along with it. There are always multiple options for places you can go, and if the game deems you are not ready, use it as an opportunity to master certain movesets and attacks all while you continue your cycle. Eventually, a clear path will be shown, and an ending will draw near. Okay, I love games that have a reason for respawning and make it fit into the lore built around the game itself, and this one does that super well. It has an explanation for everything. Well, almost everything. These little fuckers have a brain the size of a tiny rock, and I still don't understand why. Apart from that, everything else is intelligent enough, to the point of having a working reputation system, or being able to be tamed as a friend. Regardless, everything has a reason for what it does, and in the end, it all makes sense once you piece it together. Creatures leave to avoid the rains, karma is connected to cycles through a process called ascension, and 5 Pebbles is a bitch with a god complex. Now, from this point forward, I'll explain some pretty heavy spoilers. As I warned in the beginning of this video, it's up to you if you want to stick around. If you want to skip to the timestamp, no judgment. Back to the point of cycles, you are not alone. The slugcat is not the only one to be reborn on death, and this is the great problem the supercomputers such as 5 Pebbles were made for, to try and find an answer to the infinite cycles all creatures were trapped in. A few of them managed to achieve this feat, which made 5 Pebbles the angriest of them all, as he knew it was impossible for a being such as himself. In an attempt to rewrite his biological data, he in turn severely damaged one of the nearby supercomputers, and created the Rot as well, which plays as one of the main antagonists for the slugcat, right alongside the lizards. The Rot acts as a sort of cancer-given sentience, and is now located everywhere due to 5 Pebbles' attempt to undo what he did and flush it out. Upon meeting him, he directs the slugcat to head as deep into the earth as it can. This is hinting at the ending of the game, which I will not spoil. This is not the entire story, but I still do not wish to say too much. This game is beautiful when experienced blind. In the end, not only does this give cycles and karma more of a reason to exist, and the rain makes sense too. It's not just a random timer mechanic, it fits into the story. The supercomputers use tremendous amounts of water to power, and that water turns into vapor which rains back down each cycle. This adds a little more pressure to the slugcat, and makes time all the more valuable. That's the beauty of this game, it really makes you appreciate the little things and hold a little more value to the friendships you form through your time uncovering the old secrets of the ancients and the lost civilization. And that's it. Rainworld is an amazing game. Beautifully crafted, with a soundtrack masterfully composed that you could listen to for hours on end. Overall, it's a really cinematic experience as you travel through the lost region of this stamp apocalyptic wasteland. Do give it a try, it's really fun.